Going live. Auntie D is here, going live. Having some interesting topics to talk about. Yeah. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Good morning. Oh, it's about time we're going to be discussing a topic. What are some parenting differences between older and younger generations? Parenting styles. What are those styles that we use that the older generation is different from the younger generation? What are some of them? Are they effective? Are they boring? What are some of those measures that we use that we call parenting styles? Do they help to make the children more aggressive, or does it help them to become a better person? Do you give them harsh measures that they become unwilling? Or you allow them to have a way of expressing themselves? What is it that we do, that you do, that I can also do to make it very rewarding for society? We're not going to spend a very long time. So wherever you are, I'm going to just come on in. Let us have a good few minutes of sharing. And remember to, when you come in, you press the thumbs up button so that the algorithm will show that we are having a conversation and we are communicating effectively. Because if there's no effective communication, then nothing is going to be learned, no knowledge is going to be gained. Right? So come on in. I give you some time, whatever you're doing, to pop in. I've never come on at this time at 12. I was hoping to come on a little earlier. But, we try. Welcome to the live. Happy to have you. Thank you for the heart. I hope you like the topic or the title. And you're going to share your, you can give a few statements when you're ready. I know many persons, when they do come on, they have time limits, so they have to dash elsewhere. So thank you for joining the live. Thank you, guys. And remember, when you join the live, to touch the thumbs up button so the algorithm shows, right? Yeah, when we look at, I'm not going to wait on as persons come, because I don't want to be waiting, and those who are waiting decide to go because they are waiting too long. So we'll keep repeating so everybody will get a fair understanding of what I'm about to speak about. Thank you for joining the live. Thank you, guys. And to all my subscribers out there, thank you for joining. And to all my friends, all those who are coming for the very first time, welcome to the live. And I hope your morning has been going well and you have no regrets, right? Yeah, I'm looking at the title where everybody has different parenting styles and they administer them differently because no two persons are alike. Some of us do things similar, but how effective can it be, right? So in our different space, thank you for joining the live. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. In our different space, we need to acknowledge the best method to use, right? So we know that the way we were brought up, we try to do things a little different. Thank you for the heart. Thank you. We try to do things a little different from now. So each generation try to improve or change, or most times they add to it. Some will delete some things from it because, for one, when you look at punishment, how they punish persons in early times, that cannot be done now because it's against the law, right? Some people used to enjoy beating them, giving them some harsh punishment. Don't give the children anything to eat. They lock them out the house. They chase them away. They do them so many bad things. They let them wander by the wayside on their own. They overwork them. They send them to work for other persons. They don't really send them to school. They had them in the field, in the plantations, keeping them away from school. So education was at a standstill for those children. So coming up now, we realize that as generations progresses, we have to change too, right? Because we cannot go forward into having a generation of persons who cannot relate, right? Cannot fit into society. They are so bewildered, they are so forgotten, they are so overworked that they refuse to move to do any form of personal development, right? So what I notice each generation, based on what I've been reading and my readings, they try to do things differently. They do allow the persons or say children to reason, communicate, to share their feelings, whether it's in writing or verbal. Thank you for the heart. So you find that now that person able to express themselves. Sometimes they can become unruly or disruptive. They will give you outbursts of whatever. But once we train them in the right way, when to communicate and how to do it, we listen, not to go about shout. And we shouldn't be the ones to going around shouting for them to understand. We can speak in a calm voice and they listen, right? And if they are not listening or regarding what we are saying, we can use another method, right? We can show. We say no, not show and tell. You can give them a story before you develop into what you want to talk about, right? Or you can just simply explain the reason why you want a difference in their learning. And somehow they will understand. And if they don't, there comes a time when I think they will understand, right? So we have to relate, allow them to reason, allow them to express themselves, and we must train ourselves to listen, because listening is the art of learning, right? So if we don't practice listening to them, how are we going to be an effective parent? How are we going to practice effective parenting to those children or those persons, right? And we have to start with the young generation, starting them very young, so we can mold them into what we want them to become. And they too, when they become older, they'll be doing the same thing and improving on it. Where their parents were lacking in some areas, they would improve, right? They would improve on it for them. So we have to pay keen, close attention to how we relate to the young ones, because they have a way of like not understanding at times, but they retain it. And there are times now, after a while, they act it out. So why do you think they're not observing and they're not learning the behavior? They are learning it. And then when they think the time is right, they will act out that behavior. Now, if that behavior is not positive, can you imagine what would have happened? What will happen? Because everything we do must try to change our behavior from negative to positive. So the younger generation, to me, try to use different means of communication. And the older generation may look at it to say, that's not the way how I was brought up. That's not the best means. You know, they tend to think of using harsher measures. For example, a young parent may choose to only deny their children from having access to certain facilities that they know they like. The older generation would abruptly say no and chase them away out of the house or someplace, tell them to stay outside. So they find that the children can only be inside the house when it's time maybe to go to bed. But before they go to bed, they do have to feed the pigs, go get the goats, fill all the barrels with water, clean up the yard. They have to do so many things, and they don't get any time for their learning in terms of education. They don't get that time, right? And you find that they only those children would only practice what they learn, but deep down, when they become an adult, you will hear them say, "The way how I was brought up, I would not want to raise my kids in that fashion or that manner, right? Because they see in their own eyes that it was harsh and unkind, but they could not express themselves because for fear of evil, more harsher punishment, and some negative things that would get them so away from everybody. They send them to live some faraway places with some other distant poorer family, right? Or they send them to go and live with somebody else by just helping out on the farm and in the field, take things to the market. They wouldn't really pay attention to them to have an education, even to go to a simple function to socialize. They don't get that opportunity. So anybody else is gone out, they are left to do chores at home. So the exposure now becomes limited. Right? Exposure becomes limited. So you find that no younger generation now, they don't sometimes, some of them don't even check to see if where they are sending those children is appropriate, or even in the house allowing them to watch certain movies that are inappropriate because they see nothing wrong with anything. Everything is just good. So the younger generation now doesn't really set any bar or any standard. They just do, and leave them by themselves. So they are left alone to surf the internet, and then they will run into things that would not have been accommodating enough for them. Hi, Shady Edits. Hi, how are you? Welcome to the live. Happy to have you. Right, we're talking about how parenting styles can be different towards the younger and the older generations. How younger generation is different. And I'm just saying now that the younger generation will allow their children to be that's some of them, not all, to be on the internet for hours or be on their technological device for hours. Thank you for the heart. And does not seem to be around to monitor, to see. Thank you for the heart, guys. Thank you so much. To see if what is taking place is beneficial to their children. Whereas, thank you for the hearts. Whereas the older generation is so on point in that they will sit there and they have to see the movie by themselves and know about it. And if they see something pop up that they don't like, they simply tell the children to, okay, go to bed or go outside and play and turn it off. They don't bother to stop. They don't bother to continue watching it because they already formed their opinion of what the outcome of that movie is going to be. So you find that older parents can be very, I would say, overprotective, but at the same time, it's best to be overprotective than to be loose, because when you're loose, it is sad. It's going to be sad. It's going to be sad, right? Because the children are left on their own. They're left on their own, no monitoring. Or the younger parents, the younger generation allows them to be by themselves. So wherever they go, they don't have any drawback as to, no, I shouldn't be watching this or I should be playing this music. Because their parents allows them to. And the parents will sing some of the music, the songs from those, you say, music that is not so healthy to the children's development, but they will sing it, they will act it out before them. They do anything before their children. So when all of that is being done by some of the younger generation, those children trapped into that environment, how are we expecting them to do better or different from what they were accustomed to? They are going to do what they are going to live, what they learn. It may sound a bit hard, but that's how it goes. Children live what they learn. So in their later years, they're going to bring out all of that. And then you may wonder, where did this person? And even the very children for that parent may say, I don't like the way how my parents does things. Even if it's a more positive way for their own good development, they will form that opinion. And they will say it and they will act it out. It can be positive and it can be negative. But whatever it is, the parenting styles has to be in keeping with the best development of the children. It has to be. You want to change lives. You want to change lives. So you have to do something like that. Many times, many times, children are mocked or ignored when they are from when their parents are older, because the parents will impart knowledge to them from a more mature point of view that they think would have been right. So when they go out away from home and practice those, the others look on them as old timeish, antiquated. But it's because they were brought up with older parents. And I would think that the older parents most times, sorry, practice good values, impart good values more than the younger ones. But too, I would say then too, in comparison, the younger parenting can be more open, can be more open as they try to grasp by understanding where they were coming from and to where they are now and comparing their children with their upbringing and then strike a bargain to lift them up above. But most times the older ones tend to stick to the morals and they don't move very quickly. And because they don't move fast enough, you find that these children would, I wouldn't say stray, but they'd wander away and gravitate towards the younger parents because the younger ones are more freer and easier to relate to. Young parents' behaviors are different. Their behaviors are different, and what they try to do with their kids are different. And you have some older parents, the children, the girls are left in the house to do the house chores, and the boys are outside. Wherein everybody should get the same amount of learning. So when they take their own part in life, become an adult, they can see and understand what to assign to their children. So if you're going to have the girls only in the house and the boys outside, then at no point in time the boys are going to learn how to take care of their home if they are by themselves, or they live by themselves, or even if they are with their families. The children are going to be watching to see if their father can do anything or the mother can do anything because you have to practice what you teach. You can't teach something that you don't practice. Talk about it today and tomorrow you abolish it because you don't practice it. It's not going to help. So society will not have any worthwhile citizens to carry on the legacy of the values that should be imparted as they grow older. But many times people slip by the way and they will catch up and they will decide to go at it again. But sometimes it is totally abolished and they hold on to the younger generation. Their way of parenting, I would say, is kind of more, it's a little more easier, but doesn't mean that it is necessarily better. Right? I think the older one would have been better with a little improvement as times go by. A little improvement. Because it cannot be in the old system of doing things has to be changed because we move up. We move up with technology and people are not just going into people's homes to just talk now. People mainly use the telephone. Right? So persons doing an assignment, your children doing an assignment, they may not have to run to people's home to ask questions. They can go on the phone or go on the internet. So that togetherness might be lacking, right? Because it's a more individual approach. Like up the life, guys, and come on in and enjoy and share and state your point of view. I know some persons doesn't like to give any any pointers. They only like to listen. And listening is a good art. It's a good art, but at the same time, somebody needs to listen to somebody too. I will be talking, I need to listen. Sorry, I need to read what somebody else's thoughts are. How can you utilize the use up the thoughts that you have in present? No, no, this is because we are not in the older time. But how can you use up? How can you bring forth something that will encourage you, motivate you to always try to lift the children that are the ones who are mostly pushed aside? Because you're utilizing different parenting styles, and you have to use them to change the behavior. So if you're using one that works, then you don't have to change it, right? If the one that works enables you to have a good and a better interaction between you and the children, then when those children becomes an adult, they are going to realize that that was the best one, and they will add their little to it as well. So people has to think and look carefully at their socioeconomic background in moving forward to changing a person's perspective on how they believe things can work. Because anything can work anyhow, anyway, anyways. But one has to choose the best way to bring across what you want the person to learn, what you want the person to develop on, that the person can develop. Hi Sonia, good afternoon. I'm not far from ending. I'm trying to do a live, but I came on a few minutes ago. I was hoping to come on at about 11, but I was feeling so tired that, I just said let me force a little bit of time. How are you doing? How are you doing? Are you okay? I did when your life came up, I was asleep again. I woke up this morning, and I went drop back asleep again, and kind of slow me down. So when I saw it, I tried to watch the replay a little. And I said I didn't even know the time had passed by so well. I'm happy that you spared me time. I did a live last night too, but I've been falling back. I think maybe because I'm feeling tired. I think this past week with the daylight saving time and everything, it makes me feel a bit off. So I'm trying to push myself and to see how best I can achieve like you. Sometimes we feel so tired. But I hope your morning has been going well and that things are looking up for you. I see some things that makes me smile that I looked on your page. I saw. And shaking the hand telling me that you're going to be run away. So I appreciate you stopping by. I was just trying to talk about some parenting styles that some parents. You watched last night? I don't know. I don't know if how it go, but I tried. I tried. I tried to, try to put something, but somehow something is missing. The brain looks like it's not pulling out the things as I would have wanted it. But how was it? Was it okay? Well, we can talk about it later. I'm leaving out for work at 2:15, so I'll be home later. I hope to can do it live later tonight, maybe about 7:38. Because boy, when I go too late, it makes me feel drained. And then not many persons are on, so they tend to. I don't know if they. Well, last night was cold. We had rain most of the day and it was cold. So it looked like when the time is cold, nobody wants to talk. Okay. I don't know what had happened. There was somebody was giving me a little bit of problem, so I had to delete the person. So I don't know what was it, so I tried to hang on there a little bit. I don't know what was preventing me from seeing the comments really. I don't know if I had touched anything or so. So that's how it goes. So I said, let me try, and then this morning I said, oh, time is running out again, and I have to leave at 2:15, and another day and another day. So, oh, I said, I have to pull myself up and try to do. I say I dozed off. But this parenting styles I was looking at has to do with the younger generation's way of doing things in comparison to the older ones. And I think the older generation styles of parenting, imparting parenting knowledge, I think it's more effective because when you're older, you're able to look back, reflect, analyze it. And if you need to brush it up a little bit, you improve on it to raise your kids or the persons you know around you. But the younger generation, to me, I don't want to say they are loose, but they are more laid back, and anything is anything. They allow the children to go out and do anything and come home anytime. They don't really teach them. They don't spend the time to teach them. They allow them to watch any movie. That is that there is not enough supervision being given to these children because they are most times left by themselves, right? So once the food is provided and the shelter is there, I think that's it for most of these younger generations because they are not so overly attentive. They are busy. They are busy, so they don't spend much time. So they don't spend the time listening. Right, that's why they don't have any manners. Because to me, I'm happy that I was brought up with an older set of persons. And my parents were old then. Because when I look no, if it was no, when I look at children, no, that is why you see the behavior in schools are so it's poor because you can sometimes assume the homes that these children are coming from. They display it because whatever they do at home is acceptable before some of these young parents, and they laugh at everything, right? Everything is just a joke, and they will do just about anything, say anything before these children, no matter how they are young, even if they cannot speak. Once their ears, their senses, and their eyes are alert, they pick up and they understand what is happening around them. And then you think they didn't see or they didn't hear, they didn't know. Then when they're old enough, they put it out. And you say, oh, because children live what they learn. They put it out. You will see a little child is just about a toddler, learning to walk, going up to another one and trying to wind up himself. It's not that the child just want to do it like that. Because the child sees his parents doing it. Maybe in the room or just dancing. Because you find that these dances now, you have to be so close and rubbing up and winding up and doing things. Whereas older folks, when they are dancing with their children before them, you will not see them winding up, right? They would be out. They dance a little different. If they rent a tile, they do it out. But all these dances now to me is like a rubber dove, with its front or back. I just do just that. I call them sort of outrageous dances. So the children do the same thing. So you have your child that you are trying to raise, say the best way and the right way. And another person who is more loose comes with their child to act upon yours. What are you going to do? You can't sit there and pretend. You try to, and if you do it too knowingly, the younger parent may react negatively towards you. As is to say, you think your child is better than mine, but in truth and in fact, you're trying to instill a certain type of behavior, right? So these children now, they really, They're overly exposed. Overly exposed. So we have to pay attention. We have to pay attention. We have to pay attention because we don't know what they are storing in their brains. So behave. The best behaviors are better. Best behaviors is good. Imparting quality behaviors to these children, quality learning, will help to make a better society. Because what's the point in us producing and we are not producing what is worthwhile for the society? We're going to be producing garbage, and there's no place for that in society. That means that we are not growing. We are going down. We are depreciating in values. So we have to try. We have to try and improve on our teaching methods, the way we deliver, how we mold lives. How we mold lives today depends on what our future holds. So we mold children to be better persons. When they're older, they are going to do the same for their children. And what is so nice when we see children displaying good mannerisms, good saying hello, especially regarding persons that are not even just older, displaying such quality social graces. You know what I mean? You can see somebody and can say hi, you can say excuse me or sorry, you know, but you don't bounce onto somebody and just pass like you don't recognize the person, or you step on somebody's feet and you don't pay it any mind. You're pushing the trolley in the store and it bounces on somebody, you don't even say I'm sorry. You just go. It's unheard of. Where would we be going? What are we expecting to achieve as a person? So we have to start somewhere. And it's never too late. Because some of those children who were just grow, allowed to grow up loosely, I know that they would have been saying, I wish my parents were more attentive. I would not have been in this position now. Everything the younger people to me, they laugh about, they joke about it. When in truth and in fact, it is piercing the children more when they are older. I heard of a story where there was this man, his parents, when he was a child, his parents would not have reprimanded him about anything or teach him some good values. So when he became an adult, he had done something wrong and he had to be incarcerated for some time. So when his relative, someone he knew, went to look for him, they know about his lifestyle, but he grew up with them. They raised him as a child, but they didn't teach him the values. And he wanted to talk to the person, but he had an intention. So he was there talking in a low voice until the person had to put their ears so close to the place where he was sitting. In those days, apparently, you could touch the person. That's the story, but so you will get the morale from the story. And he grabbed onto the person's ear and then held onto it to say, you should have told me when I was growing up. You didn't tell me. I said, if you had told me, I would not be in this situation now. And the person was so embarrassed, so embarrassed that had happened to him. Because he did not try to tell this person what was wrong or what was right. He didn't try to mold him. He just have him just doing things and accept it. So he was very, very hurt. But the person who was even more hurt was the one who had to say it, because he saw where he should have been taught differently. Right? So whatever we do, it affects us. It affects us and it affects society. So we must use a method that is beneficial towards a person's upbringing. Right? And the upbringing not just for the self. Yes, for the self, because they will impart those values to their children and children going along. That is why sometimes I look at extended family as persons who can help. Because in early times, I'm always being told that a parent or parents are not the only ones who raise their children, right? It's a village. So everybody in the community know that you belong to Mr. and Mrs. Brown. So what they do, they look out for your best interest. So if you're on the road being rude or doing things that you're not supposed to do, they will call to you and you will listen. And if you don't listen, whether or not you listen, they are still going to tell your parents how you were behaving on the road and they had to call you to talk to you or tell you not to. And if it worse, if you had been disrespectful to the person, the parents though is going to send you right back to the person's home for you to apologize. You have to do it. And maybe they give you some harsh spanking for that too. In those days, they always use the belt as a rod of correction. They don't only they use the belt and they talk. So you get both ways. Come in comparison to now, the belt is not anymore because they say it's harsher punishment. So they talk, and I think that's why when the talking is being done, it's like it bounces off. So when you compare a village growing a child to know where it's not a village anymore, it's like a single person. The child is being raised just in her own space. So whatever the mother or the father, whoever their parents may be, whatever they give to their children as, teaching them how to become and what to do, that's what they expect because sometimes they themselves don't know any better. They don't know. And yeah, some people, they don't go out to places like churches or to community meetings or attend parent teachers meeting, those groups where they can learn to make a difference. They are just most of them within the space where they work. Maybe they are farmers or fishermen or things like that. So they just stick within their environment. They don't go out. So they don't have much to share with their children. So whatever way they have in their own ignorant style, that is what they impart to them. And then you find that children these days, the manners, they have poor manners. Poor. They say anything before adults. You could be as old walking a stick or not. They will do anything. It's like they don't care. Thank you for the heart, guys. Thank you. They don't care. They don't feel anyway. They don't feel anyway. So, and they will even turn around and curse you off. First, they will say, well, if you're trying to look to say, what are you doing? That's not right. They're going to turn and say, why are you looking at me like that? And they will give you some rude remarks. And then you're going to say, you're going to shut your mouth now and keep walking. Because they may even put up an argument which can lead to, a terrible fight. Because these children, especially males, they can be very aggressive at times. I don't know what happened to them, and the females too. But you're trying to correct somebody, no matter how nice it is, unless it's your own family member, you don't really want to go all out to do it because you could be hurt physically. Because these young people are different. So it goes back to the way in which they were raised, how they were brought up. I don't know. But I think when I look back on my growing up years, I believe, no, as an adult, I like it. But then when I was growing up, I didn't like it then. So sometimes I have to give and take with the younger parents. No, because when I look back, I felt that my parents were so overprotective and there were so many things that they would not do, right? And boys couldn't play with girls. They had to go by themselves. And it's so many things I've heard different. So many. I think the girls were given much more work to do at home than the boys. Because once the boys would clean up the yard or whatever, those little things and tie the animals where they're supposed to tie, the girls are inside working off their shoulders. They have to dust, clean, and sometimes in the kitchen helping to cook too. So much work. You can imagine dusting a house and cleaning a house. Maybe the girls. The girls were always doing a lot, ironing clothes. And those days they wouldn't have washing machine. You have to sit around a big wash pan with a lot of clothes washing. Maybe you have to even wash for everybody or all their brothers and sisters. So the responsibility that was given to the females, I think, was very hard. I think so. But it makes us women stronger in doing our chores. But the maids are not accustomed, and then we say we don't want them to be too feminine to do the things that girls. But everybody needs to learn because nobody knows when they're going to be living by themselves. So they have to learn to do the thing. Wash up the plate same way is not a female thing. Wash out the pots is not female. So if you're living by yourself, you're not going to wash any pot. That means you're going to eat all your meals from a restaurant. Right? So it's so many things. So many, many things. The girls were given more hard work. They were there working from the moment they come out of the bed until they go back to sleep. So when the boys go to the field, sometimes they work very hard because they have to dig yam holes to plant the yam. They have to plant the different things. They have to weed. It's both sides. Sometimes balance it. It's hard work. But then what they say, hard work pays. You learn now how to take care of your animals. So when your parents are old and cannot do the thing, you take over. So you were there out there learning. So your father, when you were a child, may have about 10 cows. And we don't have them in sheds, we have them tied far in the field. You have to move them, give them water. So your father would have had about 10 cows. So you learn and watch how he manages the 10 cows. When you reaches his age, you may have 20 or 30 cows. Right? So you learn. But if you're not interested and he's not learning, you're not learning anything. You tell us, say, boy, come get the cow water. That is not enough. When he's old enough and cannot manage, you're going to sell out all the cows then. Because you're going to say, well, I can't manage it, this is too hard. When in truth and in fact, it may not have been that hard. So you call the butcher and sell out all the cows. You didn't try to keep them going and multiplying and keep it turning over. You're part with it. So you still look at it to say that the values in parenting varies. And I think it's more concrete when it is done with the older ones, the older generation. The younger ones not going to put up with any raising of no animal out there. They will pay somebody else and pay an older person to do it. I've seen that happen so many times in the past. They don't have the time. They can't bother go to the field to go and give the cow any water or to move the cow to put him some places. So they get somebody who is old, who knows about it and give it to them too, And even pray their last night too. You find that it's mainly younger persons will go and interfere with other people's farm or animals because they don't like to do the hard work of raising the animal. Some people have some large farms, and they would want the help, even to pay to get it done. But you find that it's an old person they will get, right? And an old person who still has the knowledge, but the younger one, not so keen. So there it goes again. Majority of the younger parents does not. A few of them will try, a few of them will try, but most of them are not into that. They will prefer to go to the store and buy it. So the farm owners are going to be old persons. And when they're old, they cannot make it anymore. The younger ones sell out the place, sell out the plantation, and move to the city. And later, some of them become like a prodigal son. Doesn't have anything and spend out everything and has nowhere to return to. We see that happening in the deportation with some persons. They go back home because they sell out everything that the parents had left them. They are sent back home now and they're confused. So there's nothing for them to live by because everything was just wasted. They didn't have any time for that. Not that they were busy, but they didn't develop the, the values, moral etiquette in doing certain things to maintain. And sometimes we can maintain the thing, and earn from it as well. But some people doesn't want any problem. They don't want any learning because they were accustomed to the easy life. They're not accustomed to working for something, to achieve something. So they just give it up. They give it up and part with it and run gone. And then at the end of it, no, when they reach the end of the road, there's no more road to travel on. They start to reverse. And reverse into what? Nothing was left. So they have nothing to fall back on because they did not try to carry on the family's legacy. They did not try to learn the values that may have been in. Sometimes these older generation are so unhappy when they try their best with their children and the children does not accept what they are telling them. They don't accept it. And some of them passed on with broken hearts and some they just give up. Can you imagine somebody who has so many acres of land and so many animals and big farms that they don't have to buy things that much for grocery in the homes? And because younger generation cannot, and even some of them will go to people's property and do things that they're not supposed to do. You know, so you still find that the older ones, I will still keep saying it, the older ones are more attentive and willing to make you accept and learn about life better than the younger ones. I stand to be corrected, guys. You can correct me. You can make your statements and correct me. That's what I think the older ones do. I think they are more firmer and they are more dedicated. But even they are so dedicated and trying to impart the knowledge, you find that some people still kind of reluctant in their learning. They're not interested. They'll prefer their parents just call them and give them some money. And then they take it and just like with the prodigal, he called to his father for his share of the wealth and he went away. And then one stayed home and did all the work. But what happened? Recognition was given more to the one that returned. But how many times are a person able to return to something? Some go back to nothing. Some can't even go back because they did not impart to their children now responsibilities and values in life that they have to. You're growing, try to have a goal to work towards. You can't just allow yourself to be with the wind, just going with the wind. Where are you going? What are you going to achieve at the end? Do you want achievements or do you want to just be floating? Just floating with the wind. Just go with the wind. Go with the tide. Wherever it breaks, that is it. You have to have a goal. So the younger generation must have a goal, likewise the older ones. The older one goals is to see the best, impart the most and the best to their children. Right? But the younger ones, I think they are more easy. They are more laid back. They don't care much. They will take from the old than, than really build for themselves. So people, we have to focus a lot now on our younger generation. Because the older ones are dying. They are moving on. They're moving on with eternal rest. And the younger ones are around now, like not knowing what they want. And when they do think they know what they want, it's too late for them to achieve it. Can you imagine persons of family that so many acres of land, in the bush, and they allow it to be ruined? They don't pay the property taxes and those things, and it just all go over. It just go like it's gone. If you don't pay property taxes, for a certain period of time, welcome the government, it goes over to the government, right? So you lose it. Many persons have lost properties like that. Many persons, when they were supposed to take a leash on life seriously, they didn't. So they just lose it. And now, if you are to buy a house, so many 100,000, when they could use the same property and mortgage to buy somewhere. So many 100,000, and some places millions to buy a little house. 40 million, 30 millions, 50 millions. And you look at it, what type of job are you going to be in now to have that income to buy a house for your family? Right? What type of income are you going to get that is going to provide you that amount of money? So you see, right then and there, you're stuck because you ignored the older generation's teachings. Right? They ignored it. So there's nothing, you have nothing to really share, nothing to really build on because you wasted, you wasted it, and then your children are coming up. When you tell them about the things that your parents had done, sometimes they become so angry with you guys because they are trying to see now where they could be if you had only been more supportive of your parents. Okay, the older generation, they don't like to sell the property, but they like to have a lot of properties, a lot, and they like to have a lot of animals. 200 goats, 150 goats. They like to have a lot of animals, and they do big farms. They employ persons to plant the produce, the things that they want to be planted, the yam, banana, all those things. And they like to go to their farms and look at it and smile and sell to persons, and they teach you all of those things. But some people don't have that interest, that zeal. That's all they do. Just go with it. Just go and cut a banana and share with their friends and eat and drink and be happy and laugh. They don't think about the maintenance. But in truth and in fact, they were taught how to maintain a property. They buy a car, they don't spend time to keep it clean and, they just treat it anything. Just go with it. After a while, the vehicle is gone into wreckage. Doesn't have any use. They have to, when it's done, they need to go and buy another new one. They don't know what they should at least go and get certain things done to the vehicle so it can be sprayed over and cleaned up again and look just as new. And then sometimes I can look at some people and see how they carry themselves. So they have no little interest in helping their very own children to become self-sufficient and to become worthwhile persons in society. And society needs a lot of persons who are able to keep their minds focused into what they truly want to become. In spite of parents' neglect at times, some of us have to stand our ground, and be more proactive and try to see how best can I make this change beneficial, right? How best? Because truth and in fact, some of the younger parents, they didn't get any teaching. They just get a little bit being on the outside looking in. They didn't really get any. Some of them, the parents leave them in where they were born or wherever by the roadside, so people take them and help them, raise them as their own. So they get a little from where the homes that they are adopted, and they try. So those parents, you can understand, and some of them do come to something even much better, come out very successful than persons who really had older persons around them, because they knew where they were coming from, that it was very, very far down in the ditch, and they want to make it up to the top. And they know that it can only be achieved through hard work. Hard work. So we have to realize that it's all well and good to talk the talk, but we have to do the work. We have to practice. We have to practice and let the younger generation see early that it's not that you're trying to put them down, but you're trying to mold the values so that they can impart as well to their children. And when that is happening, then the cycle keeps going, and more improvement, and it keeps going. But it's like if what we put out, sometimes what we put out our best, that's not what we get in return. Sometimes we get disappointments, but we must not give up. We still go at it. Somebody's going to get the message. Somebody, and if you pass on from this life, somebody will see that, oh, she was always trying with her children, but something fell by the way. But see, they recognize now that they were going down the wrong path, so they have now changed and are going in the direction, oh, I wish they were around to see them. Sometimes these things do happen, you know. Sometimes these things do happen. So we have to encourage. We can't denounce and put persons aside. We have to encourage them. Because as it is said, encouragement sweetens labor. You encourage a person, it makes them feel more wanted and accepted to want to do even more or even improve on what they're doing. And sometimes they only want a little bit of recognition. And that would spark them up. Spark them up, man. And then they look back, they say they feel good. You know? But most of that I see happening is from, as I say, it's from the older generation. So where the gap is now is what can be done more than doing more. You're not going to burden yourself where you become so stressed out. But you do impart. Never stop imparting. Because once you keep imparting, you'll be remembered. They will remember. But just like sometimes you want to see the everything flourish before your eyes. You want to see the fruit bear and blossom and bear. And you can say, yes, my children were really listening and I'm proud of them because they have practiced what I've been teaching them. Right? They are so proud. But when it's the opposite, yeah, some children from the older generation too, they don't do as you want, as you'd have told them, they do otherwise and create embarrassment. So it still goes hand in hand with the younger one. The younger one doesn't always instill poor values. They do at times. It's just that to me, the younger ones are more laid back. Nothing really bothers them. So they just accept. They accept what is offered. But some can be really serious, and put a firm footing down early. So if you know that putting on your feet early will help save the situation, then you do it early. Don't wait until it's too late. Then you're going to say, if you did know, do it now. You do it at the appropriate time. Because nothing is worse than to wait until the appropriate time and then no, yes, it cannot work. This cannot work. Right? It cannot work. So we have to try, be the old generation or younger generation, teach the values, impart knowledge so that they can all be fruitful. Because it's pointless not helping or not imparting these skills to make society better for everyone. It's not just going to be better for them within the household, but when they go out into the wider world. That's where the true testing is going to be seen. Right? So persons have to try. Have to try. There's no other way other than trying. Trying makes it successful. And if it's not successful with your naked eyes, it can be realized when you're gone out of this life. You may not be around to see everything that you'd want to see. And maybe your great grand down the line, maybe the ones who would make you happy, but you may not be around to see. So whatever you do, sow good seed and encourage so that it can always bear good fruits. Doesn't make any sense we're going to sow bad fruit, sow bad seed to reap bad fruits. But let us instead try to sow what? Good seeds to bear good fruits, right? And when it bears good fruits, then everybody will be a part of it. And everybody will be happy because everybody will be successful, right? So guys, let me just tell you that I'm happy to be on this afternoon and I share my thoughts and I accept also because of those who have put out. And I'm happy that I was able to come on, and I'm happy that you guys were able to pop in and give me a little support. I'd hope, sometimes these topics are not easily to develop, but I try to make it real because I'm a realist and I like to see how other people feel about certain situations, certain topics, right? And hi, Karen Haborbrad. Hello, how are you doing? So, I always say to myself, whenever I'm on a live and I'm about to go, that's the time I would see persons popping in. But I have to go now. I have to get myself organized. So guys, when subscribe to the channel and look, I can go back to the live and share the video. Okay, you're fine. How was your day? Let me just spend a few seconds with you. How was your day, Karen? You're fine. Okay. And you've been having everything well. So before I go, what's your contribution that you'd have to give towards our talk, our discussion on parenting skills comparing the older generation and the younger generation? What would you have to say about that? As I was about to end the live and I see you come up, so I'll just stop a while and accommodate you. What would you like to see? What do you notice? Tell me what you notice. Tell me what you notice. All right. Can you compare the difference between the younger generation and the older, the older generation in terms of rearing their children? Okay. Love you too, but I have to go now. I catch you later when I come back on the live, okay? Do you want to say something before I go else? Yeah, I'll catch you another time. Bye bye. Have a good day now.